Hi everyone, welcome to another Henson Highlights. Today I'm going to be talking about Muppet appearances on the variety shows Jimmy Dean Show and at Sullivan. So for Jimmy Dean, we had the first few appearances of Rolf the dog, one of my favorite Muppets. I named a dog after him when I was like 5 or 6, and he was said to be one of the most close to Jim in personality of all the characters Jim himself portrayed. So it's really appropriate that he was one of the first to really get true popularity. Sure, the Muppets, for their commercials, as well as for their appearances on Sam and Friends, were popular, but not to the extent of Rolf. Rolf received just as much fan mail as Jimmy Dean, the host of the variety show, and appeared in all but one episode of the show, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'll fact check that later, which of course is too late, but I digress. So, a lot of the sketches would have Rolf singing a song with Jimmy, one having You Are My Sunshine, which was one song that Jim really enjoyed. It sang as memorial and during the Huggle Wugga sketch of The Muppet Show. So again, something from this point would be repeated later by the Muppets. And Rolf really took off and became popular. So these sketches really did help the Muppets gain the popularity that they rightly deserved. They're even briefly mentioned in the Muppet Show pilot Sex and Violence, when Rolf says that he used to be with Jimmy Dean, but nobody remembers him then, because that's when Kermit was starting to become more popular and other characters were starting to come up. But Rolf still has made his impact for the Muppets, and I'd say we are great. We are glad to have him as one of our favorite Muppets and are thankful for the Jimmy Dean Show for establishing his character. On to the Ed Sullivan Show. This show, as far as old variety shows, is fairly well known. Really big show. And some very famous guests appeared: Elvis, the Beatles, and of course the Muppets. And a lot of Muppet sketches that appeared in Sam and Friends came back here, like the visual thinking. Now Kermit was in the role of the hipster from the previous video that I talked about in my Sam and Friends video. And that's a nice little twist. And certain sketches appeared again, like Inchworm, which was done on Sam and Friends and later on the Muppet Show. So they, again, the constant coming back of classic while still keeping something a little new. A prototype of Cookie Monster, similarly to the one in the Lutes and Wheels commercial, appeared, taking apart a computer that also acts as an explosive device, and nothing, not even being ripped apart and eaten, can stop it from its function. Yeah, this is another sketch that would be repeated on the Muppet Show with Gorgon Heap. Yeah. The other Muppets, Resident Eater, Monster. So, these sketches really did make the Muppets part of the public eye, so people would pay attention to them, and it really helped them gain the recognition that they deserve. Also, it had some sketches that would also be on the Muppet Show, but actually subversions. One was I Feel Pretty, where we have a Muppet whatnot that's not particularly attractive, but then switching her face around, and then it comes undone, and then another Muppet that looks like her is seen, and then they wind up together, which is so cute. But the funny thing is, the inverse was done on an episode of the Muppet Show where beautiful whatnot took out all her facial features and became more monster-like, putting on those features for her monster boyfriend. And playing around with faces is done a lot here, which really works with the concept of how the whatnots could be, since they weren't meant to be kept like Kermit or Fozzie or Miss Piggy. You were able to play around with them, rip them apart a little, do all you wanted to them, have detachable facial features because they wouldn't be used for later ones. So that's another thing that really came from these appearances. So these variety shows helped shape a lot of the Muppets' trademark humor and songs, and more importantly, push them into the public eye so that they would gain an audience. And in 10 years' time, the Muppets wound up putting up their own show. But that will be a few weeks from now. Yeah, not quite next week. We have a long way to go. See you later, guys. Thanks again for watching. Bye.